All right, good morning, everyone. Welcome to the Associated Guest. I, as always, am your host, Alfie Animus, here at the Bear in Mind channel. Today, get more on Anita Sarkeesian and all the journos coming out, saying the Chuds are being mean to her for no reason. It looks like it's 2014 all over again. The courting situation, I guess, is including Nerdrotic now. And we'll get a little update that happened, I guess, last night or this morning. Modern art sucks. The Hantavirus, and then if we still have time, hey, good morning, Yanuka. We'll get into some stuff with Lord Nuxanor. But first, let's go check and see what Vera Dark has found about the Anita Sarkeesian situation. Vera?
Whenever Anita Sarkeesian's name pops up on social media, there are going to be people who run to her defense and say that Gamergate was a harassment campaign.
It wasn't.
She's a stunning and brave woman who just wanted more inclusivity.
And just remember, when I say that it wasn't, that wasn't its primary focus. Were there people that probably went too far or went out of line? Yes. And they were mostly people who just had troll accounts. And you have to be able to know the difference. This is the internet age. It's been the internet age for a good long while. Okay, people are living online and making their livings online. You have to be able to know the difference. And the fact that the mainstream media either doesn't or won't see this, it speaks volumes. You have to know the difference. It's like, 10, 12 years ago, there were campaigns saying that, men were mean to women online. Everyone's mean to everybody online. Okay, it's part of shit talking. Does it go too far sometimes? Yes. Do people focus on the fact that there's a girl in the chat? Yeah, some people actually make a good living that way. It's like the guy that posts the, oh my god, there's a gamer girl in here. I better get my swag going. Or some shit like that. But you have to know when people are just trolling. And you also have to know where the mute button is. You can mute people. You've always been able to mute people in online discourse. That's always been a thing. You can block whoever you want. And then they start saying things like, oh, well, you shouldn't have to. And that's when you stop taking them seriously.
In the gaming industry, and the Chuds have no reason to be talking negatively about her. And since we've been discussing Slay the Spire 2 and the fact that she consulted on that game, of course, like clockwork, the journos are out in full force to defend her. People are taking to social media saying she didn't do anything wrong, and the Chuds are mad at her existence yet again.
Yes.
I have a few different things to show off, but before...
Because her whole existence is to destroy the gamer space. Okay, she got into the gaming media just to shit talk gaming. That's literally her whole existence. She's even said herself she had to start gaming a bit. She had to read and look into a lot of stuff about gaming to really know anything about it. She's not a gamer. She's not a lifelong gamer. Okay, anyone can take a picture next to stacks and stacks and stacks of shitty shovelware Wii games.
Before I get into the topic, if you enjoy the content I create, check out the links in the description, join the community in my live streams, and consider supporting through Patreon or YouTube memberships. Now, before we get into this conversation, I just want to say it's perfectly fine if you think Slay the Spire 2 itself is a good game. If you purchased it when it released, you've supported it, you've had fun with it, that's ultimately great. But I do think it is important to still call out the fact that Anita Sarkeesian sunk her claws into this, and they refuse to address this controversy. They refuse to actually let us know what Anita Sarkeesian did. Of course, we're never going to find out how much money she was actually paid or what level of influence she had on this product, but you can't work with Anita Sarkeesian if you have opinions that are different from hers. That is very clear at this point. If you are not with her, you are against her, and that's the way that the industry is sort of ran internally. They claim to want diversity until it comes time to support diversity of thought and opinion, and you can't be more right-leaning and work with Anita. That's very clear. And so when you see a studio giving her money and hiring her and working with her for several years,
it's horrifying.
Yeah, you have to sit here and wonder, if they also hate gamers. This is somebody who is extremely controversial, and I know for me personally, I will not support a game that Anita Sarkeesian, Brianna Wu, or Zoe Quinn have worked on if I know of it before I purchase it and I know of the situation before the product comes out, unless we are again talking about somebody who magically changes their ways and apologizes and isn't going into this with a political lens. But we know that that's not how these three work. They do insert their politics into everything that they touch, and just because Anita Sarkeesian worked on one game that turned out to be good that people are liking doesn't mean that she's a changed person. Though, because the quote-unquote chuds are talking about this, there are some people online who are furious, trying to insult us, trying to belittle us, trying to demean us, which I honestly think is so funny because there's no word that you could use at this point that is going to bother gamers. I mean, hell, even the journos like Lee Alexander have tried to say the term gamer is bad, and you should take offense to that, so why am I going to take you seriously? Though, yeah, we're seeing a lot of posts and articles going up about this situation. The Gamer said Slay the Spire 2 review bombed over Anita Sarkeesian's consultancy work. I think that it is extremely important people voice how they feel about a situation. If you haven't purchased it, go to X, share it.
You're allowed to do this, by the way. You're allowed to boycott certain developers, certain whatever, consultants or whatever. You're allowed to want to avoid anything that Sweet Baby Inc. or Anita Sarkeesian has ever touched. I mean, hell, it helped me from not buying the game that would bomb, what was it, Anthem, the one that was supposed to be the Destiny killer, and for all intents and purposes, it should have been just that, but it wasn't. Because many things were working against them. First of all, EA themselves are awful at everything, which is why they shut down almost every single studio that's ever been attached to them, or rather absorbed by them. They find some way to make games horrible. They killed the, what was it, the SimCity? It was either SimCity or, yeah, it was SimCity. They killed SimCity, a single player should be offline game, by making it where you have to be online to play a single player game. What are we doing? And on top of that, Anita Sarkeesian, her being involved at all, and again, this was like roughly 10 years ago, plus or minus, her being involved at all was another red flag. The woman is an albatross.
Videos, share posts, make posts yourselves. That's the amazing thing about social media, is that you have a voice and a way to voice your opinions, and I think that that is wonderful, and it is important to do because, again, people love Slay the Spire. They want Slay the Spire to of course not be surrounded in controversy, but studios like this do need to be called out, and they do need to realize that this is going to damage their reputation. Slay the Spire 2 was a hit when it launched back in early access this year, amassing 574,000 concurrent players on Steam at its peak. It has continued to hold on to a surprising amount, peaking at 189k in the past 24 hours. However, it has now come under fire for something that doesn't have anything to do with the gameplay or an unpopular update. No, instead, some people online realized that Anita Sarkeesian, a media critic and video game consultant, raging feminist, misandrist, and very well documented gaming hater, Anita Sarkeesian, they're not going to voice it that way, appears in the credits. This was never a great secret. Her name was always there, alongside two other consultants, and most players seem to enjoy the game just fine, but now that they've noticed that she contributed to the game, they're spamming negative reviews. Just because you didn't know about someone's affiliation before release doesn't mean you can't call them out for their affiliation after release. People feel like they have been misled. People feel like they have been betrayed. And as I have said many times, this is not somebody who cares about the video game industry or gamers. And she's admitted before that she isn't even a fan of video games.
it's not exactly a fandom. I'm not
See?
a fan of video games. I actually had to learn a lot about video games in the process of making this.
So why should I?
Exactly, and that's exactly what I'm talking about. She wasn't a fan of video games when she started this crusade. She just saw a thing that she didn't like about a thing, so then she started learning, and I'm sure she learned from all the best sources. Of course she did.
I have any general level of respect for her. People are allowed to voice that they are unhappy. Now, of course, they're going to say that Anita Sarkeesian was one of the women at the center of the first wave of Gamergate in the 2010s. She frequently criticized games from a feminist perspective, as critics often do with films or television. Basically, this entire article is a puff piece for Anita Sarkeesian and the women and half-man of Gamergate 1. Gamergate was about ethics in video game journalism, and there was a woman at the center of Gamergate 1 who was giving out sexual favors, seemingly, for positive press for her game, and yet they sit here and they say, oh, Gamergate was just a harassment campaign, when that certainly wasn't the case. No wonder people don't want to sit here and try to have a conversation with you, and no wonder why gamers don't take your shit outlet seriously, because these are the types of attacks you are levying against gamers. Now, there are plenty of posts like this saying it's 2026, chuds are mad about Anita Sarkeesian. Again, yeah, and people like you constantly bitch and moan and groan and whine and complain when somebody dares to have an opinion that's different than yours. You also shouldn't be taken seriously.
Yeah,
Colin Moriarty sometimes has...
Hey, thanks for the
and
engagement there,
he's
Kick
not
Bounties.
so far off the beaten trail, but in this case, he starts off by saying Anita Sarkeesian is undoubtedly a tourist and a grifter and had a negative effect on the industry, which I would agree with. Then he follows up with, that said, if a game she consulted on is played by millions and no one noticed anything amiss until the credits, made you mad a month after launch, maybe you're overreacting. That's like saying, oh, I decided to support a product because it looked really cool and we were sold on a vision, that the team behind it was filled with dedicated, passionate people, and it's a small team, and I want to support them as much as possible, and then you find out a billionaire is actually behind it. Of course, it is perfectly acceptable that you are upset with that because you were sold a certain vision, and again, you admitted Anita Sarkeesian is a grifter and did have a
100%.
massive negative effect on the industry, so why is it suddenly not acceptable that people want to criticize this game paying her?
And again, she's 100% allowed to do what she's doing, just the same as anyone else is, including myself and Miss Vera Dark here, is allowed to, say whatever we want about her. Especially as long as we stick to the realm of truth, which is that she was never a gamer.
Team paying her money to continue grifting, to continue being a tourist, and to continue damaging this industry. It's always...
Again, she did a lot of research and did a whole video on how Batman's cape, no matter how she turned Batman's character, she barely got to be able to see his butt, because his cape that drapes over the back of his shoulders down to his ankles-ish conceals his butt. You know, the one that hangs flat over his back. This is not a serious person, but she was seen as a serious person because of course she is. And Sicilian.
So funny to me when people like this take to social media and say, oh, the chuds, the anti-wokies, the ists, the phobes, they're mad. And of course they want to paint it as if we're mad simply because a woman worked on the game or a woman consulted on the game. No, it's about the specific individual and the fact that this person did damage the video game industry, and there's plenty of people out there who wouldn't have supported this if they had actually known Anita had sunk her claws into it in the first place. So yeah, these people are running puff pieces and damage controlling, and look, again, it's perfectly fine if you love Slay the Spire too. Just be aware that if you support their games going forward, this is who you are giving money to, and I do think that that is going to change a lot of people's opinions on this studio going forward. But that's all that I really had to discuss in this video.
All right.
Let everyone know your thoughts.
But yeah, no, I just wanted a little bit of an update on that. I think Sarkeesian's the worst. Going all the way back to the original Gamergate. I can't believe she's still been around. I mean, I just assumed that she had, married or become some kind of, street urchin or something. But unfortunately, she's still out there doing things, which is probably why the gaming space is going the way it's going. But anyway, on to the quartering.
Hey, what's up, guys? Riff here. So it's the weekend, you know what that means. It's time to check in on the quartering, and at this point, it honestly feels a lot less like a weekend checkup and a lot more like a welfare check, because this guy has been brutally crashing out over the past month plus, as he's faced some very legitimate criticism from many different people, and he has doubled and tripled down on these things he's being accused of doing. In fact, the only response he really has is picking fights with content creators and losing horribly. In his most recent crash out, which I'm sure is sponsored by Fireball, well, he picks a fight with a whole host of content creators, labeling them as woke SJWs for criticizing him and also criticizing one of his co-hosts, Chrissy. Now, we're going to get into this in just a minute because the clip he's sharing doesn't even make sense for what he's trying to claim in this tweet. In fact, it's so bad he already got community noted in just about an hour after making this post. Now, we're going to be focusing on some updates regarding the quartering, but also his friends Chrissy Mayer and Melanie Mack, who have been brunting the storm, waiting for it to pass over, but the drama involving the quartering has only intensified, and during that, Melanie Mack has, well, taken a 10-toes-down approach defending the quartering, and she's getting bodied on social media right now.
The quartering.
And Chrissy Mayer is attempting to act like she had no idea what's been going on the last month plus, and that's not going well either. Now, of course, the crux of what people are talking about is not just various criticisms of the quartering, but also the fact that he has recently expressed his will and ability to deplatform his critics, which, ironically enough, after that, a whole host of his critics had their videos and channels hit with strikes. Now, facing a mountain of criticism over the past month, the quartering decided to duck several debates by going on a
because he's not good at anything. He doesn't know what the fuck he's talking about. He's too busy gooning on people at theme parks.
Phone and internet detox last weekend. Unfortunately, that didn't last very long or really achieve anything because the criticism kept rolling in. In fact, several large videos were made, including this 3.5-hour-long piece on the quartering that has 500,000 views, dissecting everything happening right now and over the past bunch of years involving the quartering, including one clip I saw where the quartering is drinking vials of, let's just say the man's getting his protein in one way or another, but we have some updates, okay? Remember this clip where the quartering was doing an IRL stream at a Renaissance fair, and he was making aggressive and disturbing comments about some of the mothers at this festival in the presence of their children, by the way? Well, these were comments that the quartering doubled down on, saying he regrets nothing, and this was all fake pro clutching.
Well, he regrets nothing.
He has been allegedly banned permanently from that Renaissance festival.
Good.
Because people brought that clip to the festival and they want no parts of this guy ever attending there again. Now, I've met some goofy individuals over the years, but I've never met anyone who's been banned from a Renaissance festival. Maybe I'm not living
they put
life
up with
to the
just
fullest.
about anything. Like, you can
my
get drunk
friends
and
aren't
fight
getting
there.
canceled or banned from Renaissance fairs, but that is the quartering right now. The behavior he described as completely normal, by the way, was enough to get him permanently banned from this Renaissance fair. Now, of course, people are focusing on the quartering, but they're also focusing on his co-hosts of his podcast and his friends, Melanie Mack and Chrissy Mayer, who are really doing everything in their power the last month to weather the storm. They've been acting like this is all going to blow over. Make no mistake, ladies and gentlemen, these two are 100% aware of everything going on here. If you've been into one of the streams, you know what the chat looks like, okay? All of the regular chat and the super chats are filled with people dunking on everyone involved in this scenario and pointing out what's going on. If you've ever been a part of a podcast where something like that's happening, you noticed instantly when things start going off the rails. That's how it's been the last 4 or 5 weeks. So to act like they don't know what's going on is ridiculous. Here's an example, right? This person's saying, bro, this is a effing train wreck. Look at their chat. Just an average screenshot of their chat where they're mocking them for blaming woke people for all this criticism and saying, don't let the pro-censorship Janny fool you, Chrissy. And then people saying, seems like everyone dislikes what Jeremy did, referring to many different things. And what are all the oranges for, chat? Very good question. And people calling Jeremy a creep as well. Now, Chrissy has been trying to act like she has no idea what's going on. As people are pointing out here, this seems like full self-preservation at this point. She is trying to basically detach herself from the quartering and act like she's had no idea the depth all of this has went.
Marriage. And to be honest, I was not up to date on all of the quartering drama, and this to me is like, and trust me, I've spent most of the day, hours on the phone with different friends who've been filling me in on everything.
And the thing is, I like Chrissy Mayer. I think she's pretty funny. I don't think she's as funny as she thinks she is, but I think she's pretty funny. I mean, she should be. She's a comedian. Melanie Mac, I think she's cute. I think she's kind of unhinged. She's a bit too much with the religion, especially considering she's basically the only internet thought that doesn't have an OnlyFans. I mean, it's true, but at least I don't think she does. But I don't know. I've never heard anything about it. But yeah, she's just an internet thought gamer girl who reads the Bible for some reason, but she's no different than any other internet thought. And then Chrissy Mayer here, she's a pretty funny comedian. I don't know how she got wrapped up in all this, but it sucks because she wasn't on, was it Friday Night Tights this past weekend with Nerdrotic, which is, I'm sure we'll get to that.
I should have known weeks ago. I talked to Venti for about an hour. I talked to Nina, Infinity. I talked to a bunch of friends. And it is so much worse than I realized, and it was my job as an interviewer to kind of hold myself to a higher standard, and I should have known the full extent of all this drama.
No, I've never liked the quartering anyway. Like I've really haven't had any thought on him. I was just like, I watched one episode of something that he was doing a few years back, and I was just like, nah, I'm cool. Basically, I feel the same about him as I do about Mundane Matt. He's mundane. He's not interesting. The fact that he kind of latched onto, I think, Crowder and jumped on the Rumble train and all that, and is, for some reason, paid fairly well by Rumble is kind of astounding considering his content.
And I didn't, so now I understand why everybody feels the way they do.
Yeah, again, this is self-preservation at this point. There is 0% chance she had no idea what was going on with the quartering. Either she is...
It is possible. Look, I don't agree with Rev on that. I think it is very much possible. I don't know all the shenanigans that my friends get into. Mostly because I don't have any, but... but no, I think it's very possible. She does what she does. I mean, just because you are friends with someone or are friendly with someone doesn't mean that you watch their show all the time.
Completely incompetent and not seeing a very clear picture in front of her, or she is lying and she's been aware this whole time and is now just trying to save face. But here's a very interesting quote of the related clip saying she's gonna wish she knew about it when this bleeds into the Friday Night Tights chat. Good luck explaining to Gary Nerdrotic why he's getting super chats, which is inevitable at this point, crapping on her and /or demanding she be removed from the show for being a liability.
Which is silly.
Now, right now, because of her
It's silly.
continued participation on his podcast and his streams, Chrissy has been labeled as someone who is okay with channels being flagged or having strikes for criticizing the quartering. It's a really bad look. And now, her appearances on Friday Night Tights.
As always, look, I don't agree with what the quartering's doing. I don't think that anything he's doing is right. I don't like Mally Mac anyway, but I don't like the way that she's been handling it. And like I said, I don't think that it should affect at least the way that Chrissy Mayer's been doing it. I don't think that it should affect anything else. It will, and it sucks that it will, because there are a lot of chuds out there who will, just because you're attached to someone or you're friendly with someone, because I think she's pretty friendly with Mally Mac, and she's friendly with the quartering, and it already has bled over. But it's messed up. She hasn't said anything or done anything wrong herself. She just hasn't denounced her friend. You can do it behind the scenes. You don't have to publicly out your friends. And you shouldn't have to. If this is something that we push for, then we're no better than the left.
Are being questioned. And on the latest episode of that, she did not make an appearance. And I'm going to play this clip from the stream talking about the issue and talking about her lack of an appearance. And keep in mind, this is the exact clip the quartering is going to tell you as an example of all of these creators being woke SJWs.
Chrissy's not on the show today.
That's Cope.
I had a talk with Chrissy yesterday about the situation she inserted herself in, whether it was due to ignorance of the situation or not. That's something she's going to have to address on her channel. It is not anything I feel I need to answer for.
So first of all,
Agreed.
I think that's a very reasonable decision made by Gary Nerdrotic.
I agree with that. It absolutely
Why would you
is a
want someone like
reasonable
Chrissy
decision.
on your show?
Not someone like Chrissy, but someone who's wrapped up in a current, I guess you could call it, scandal. If you don't want the heat for something that you don't agree with or are not a part of, and you're not friends with the quartering, then you should not be involved in such.
When she is right now associated with the quartering and everything he's up to, because he is unapologetic. And if you are right there next to him pretty much all the time and you're not calling out anything until basically you're forced to, where your only defense is I knew nothing, yeah, I don't know why anyone would want someone like her on their show right now. That seems like a massive liability. Now keep in mind, the clip we just watched is being used by the quartering in this tweet today as an example of what he's trying to prove. Here's his tweet. So a show full of anti-woke culture warriors banned one of their co-hosts for daring to interview someone
They didn't ban
didn't
her.
like.
They didn't.
Literally used...
First of all, they didn't ban her. They just said that she needs to work out the thing and then she can probably come back afterwards. That's very different. Okay, he's just distancing himself for it. So the conversation or the chat doesn't focus on that, which they probably still did anyway to an extent, because someone being missing when they're usually there is notable in itself. But again, from the quartering, this is Cope.
language like she has to educate herself. They fought SJW so long, they became them, and the sad thing is, people will support this. Now, you guys just watched the clip. You know that nothing he's saying here is reflected in the clip. Again, I don't know what the state of mind is for the quartering right now, but this is a gigantic fumble. If he was trying to prove a point, this clip has nothing to do with it. In fact, you can see it got hit with a community note, okay, saying the co-host in question was not banned.
Exactly.
They were simply not present for the show. The issue was addressed at the start of the episode. This is yet another crash out from the quartering, a crash out that doesn't even make sense. Everything he's claiming here makes no sense, and by virtue of calling out the entire podcast, he's calling out every content creator on this panel right now, which is a really bad idea. Now, granted, most of these people are already criticizing him for his recent behavior, but this really solidifies it, and this is just embarrassing, and the note is very appropriate. And he's crashing out in the replies, which I'm sure he's going to delete eventually. This person says, dude, you literally struck down channels you didn't like, with this screenshot from a few weeks ago, where the quartering says, please Google the definition of sarcasm. So that's all he can really rely on at this point is, I guess, sarcasm. And here's another reply saying, nearly every single one of these people on this panel has engaged in the drama. Another reply ago, where the quartering says, please Google the definition of sarcasm. Ago, you know, most of these people, I'm sure he's going to delete eventually. This person says, dude, you literally struck down channels you didn't like, with this screenshot from a few weeks ago, where the quartering says, please Google the definition of sarcasm.
No, I had to read through it real quick.
Really
It doesn't make
at
sense
this
to
point,
me,
I
and
guess
that's because it doesn't
sarcasm.
make sense.
And here's another reply saying, nearly every single one of these people on this panel has engaged in the drama, yet only Chrissy gets punished. I wonder why that is. Oh yeah, it's because she didn't turn on her friend and join the hate mob. People are just coping. This is textbook woke cancel stuff. Amazing and stunning and brave post while locking the replies so no one can directly reply to what he's saying. But yeah, a lot of the people have engaged in the drama, aka criticizing the quartering, because they don't like what's happening, especially with the threats of taking down videos and channels, and then of course that happening over the following weeks. Yeah, that is the cardinal sin of content creators. You never weaponize.
Look, and this isn't something like he backed the wrong horse, or he was doing something and people just disagree with him. He was getting people taken down for bullshit, for disagreeing with him. He was canceling people, and now he's crying that he's being canceled for canceling people. Who's coping with who?
Or even threaten to weaponize the system to take down your critics. That's why everyone is pretty much universally against this. So yes, it's fair that they're engaging in the drama because they're criticizing something that is a legitimate concern. Chrissy was unclear up until very recently about anything. In fact, many people thought she was just sweeping all of this under the rug.
Which was fine.
And
it would be
speaking of
fine if she
sweeping under
was.
the rug, while the replies are getting swept under the rug, the quartering has been working overtime, hiding replies on all of his related tweets. You can see this hidden reply saying, maybe you should use a clip that actually supports your claim. The clip you provided is just them saying it's Chrissy's business and not theirs.
Which is true.
And someone saying, report this comment. Well, it got put into the shadow realm. But down here you can see like Flash getting hidden now, and I guess he was blocked as well. Keep in mind,
and that's the main thing. No matter what, even amongst people who dox and flag, doxing and flagging are big no-nos. You don't do that. Again, you can block people, and it's just fine. If they do something like crazy, like threaten you, like actually threaten you, then you can report that shit. But that's not what happened.
A week or two ago, the quartering was trying to debate him and force his way onto a scheduled stream from Flash, and then when the opportunity came for the quartering to show up to a related stream, he took his little internet detox. And looking back at Chrissy just yesterday, continuing on, reposting this saying, I'm noticing the people obsessing over the quartering / Melanie Mac / Chrissy thing are sounding exactly like SJW psychos, two sides of the same coin.
Okay, so
she's,
now
guess,
I can see a little
co-signing the
why.
message from the quartering that all the critics are a bunch of psycho SJWs. Interesting. Now you saw the name Melanie Mac included as well, another friend of the quartering, who, as pointed out here by Camelot, has been running some very weird defense. I mean, she is 10 toes down for the quartering right now. In fact, she's the one who said that the video of him at the Renaissance Fair was not real, which is incredible because the quartering would directly address the clip and say that he has nothing to regret. He regrets nothing.
And that kind of feels like the whole, QT Cinderella, and the Hassan Piker thing where Hassan shocked his dog and then QT Cinderella came out and said, no, he took the barbs off. And then Hassan would say, I didn't grab the remote. It was a shock. It was a vibration collar. They didn't even have the collar on that day. But QT came out and said one thing, so Hassan had to change his story. So yeah, basically Melanie Mac is the conservative QT Cinderella.
nothing about it. So it's a very strange thing to say, but she made this tweet the same time as the quartering, definitely related, saying don't bow to the cancel mob ever, where she already has a proposed note. I'm sure it'll go live soon enough. We're basically saying the context is that the cancel mob in question consists of herself and her boss, Jeremy Hambley, aka the quartering, who in recent months have been flagging and taking down any form of legitimate criticism regarding their dubious practices. And people in the replies are vicious. You can see there was hundreds of replies already. People saying literally your boss, with a screenshot of the quartering talking about taking down people's channels, in this case Kino Casino. Another one saying correct, which is why a mob has turned its focus on YouTube. Keep flagging, blocking, banning, and muting, all while claiming it's the liberals cancel mob. Like, nah, bro. Yeah. Grift is up.
They're the ones who are acting like them. And then they get called out for it. And then they're like, I can't believe y'all are canceling me.
It's really just getting ridiculous, and people pointing out that they've lost their channels and videos. All of this is a complete mess, ladies and gentlemen. The quartering has really dug his hole at this point.
He looks like, ha!
And anyone left there trying to dig him out, well, they're rightfully getting included in the backlash, because they've been trying to sweep this under the rug, trying to sweep for him and trying to weather the storm, wishing this would all go away. But unfortunately for them, the quartering is making things worse by acting the way he has been acting the last month plus.
Drunk.
But that's going to do it for this video. If you enjoyed, consider giving this video a like.
Anyway, and then just a slight update. Let's do this. Meow. The quartering, been seeing this all last night and this morning. The quartering, his account doesn't exist anymore. To which I said he will return as the Nickling because he's dropped at least 2 dimes. Is that the whole reason why I did this section? Maybe. Anyway, I really don't care about the quartering situation. It's fascinating just because of how many people are involved, and they're doing that whole "what are the oranges for" bit, and how they're making fun of the fact that he just says, "Oh man, have you seen this?" and then he'll play someone else's clip. So people will play him doing that, and then add themselves being like, oh man, did you hear what the quartering said about this?
Consider subscribing as well and turning on notifications.
Oh, why are we censoring it? Come on, guys.
Right. Postmodern
Modern
art is
sucks.
postmodern art. You all know. Well, she tried to bring attention to the role that water plays in our life. Okay, so think what I want you to picture in your mind's eye. All right.
So, how about a jet
It's meant
ski?
to be a representation of water, its significance in our lives, perhaps our underappreciation therein. Well, here's her art exhibit, and it's exactly what you think.
Retarded.
Her PE coach is going to be super proud.
Where's the water?
I mean, that is damn impressive.
I don't see the water, and I don't.
Oh, there it is. Couple of jugs.
I don't see the water. I don't know her, but her face rings a bell.
Oh, very nice. Oh, why are we censoring it? Come on, guys.
It's a hunchback of Notre Shame.
Oh, okay.
Oh, yeah, jet ski.
Yeah.
I particularly love my artistic statements to include sea-doos.
She kind of looks like in the face. This kind of reminds me of the scene from the One Piece live action where the little blonde, effeminate son of Axe Hand Morgan, I can't remember his name off the top of my head, was posing naked with Zoro's swords. But just look at her in the face. She's not hot in the face. Like, look at that.
She's
Look at
naked on a jet ski. What does that
What
signify?
What is this?
Big fan of water.
I don't remember this part of Titanic.
I hope it sinks.
If there's any justice.
Like, this isn't. It's not artistic. It's just you and your friends being
I'm
naked.
aware now.
Yeah.
Before, I had no idea what role water played in my life.
No.
Oh wait, they said. Did they say
I was
autistic?
like, what is this shit?
I also was unaware as to the pervasive nature of the patriarchy until she got in her snowmobile. Ring, 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 ring. Oh,
Yeah.
penis problem.
Whoa, water freezes?
Here's the thing.
Yeah,
Here's the
Helmeppo. Thank
thing.
you.
That's crazy.
This is postmodern art, apparently. What's going on, shapeshifter?
Dude, what?
It's like a museum. It's like a chart of evaporation, condensation, precipitation. And therefore, enslaved men. Now,
where do you see steam?
Yeah, way to stick it to us by
have you
doing
heard of
naked
trains? Look, here's the problem with postmodern art.
It sucks.
And I get it. Not everything has to be Transformers 4. But if your art is only of value to you, and if only you understand it, it is of no value. This idea that art is supposed to be whatever the artist wants it to be, it's actually not historically what art was meant to be. It was meant to be
art can be one thing to the person who puts it out there, but it's all about the interpretation of who's seeing it. Which is like the scream. There's been so many different interpretations of that. Why is this person screaming? Did something happen? Is he having like a midlife crisis? Is something going on? Did someone hijack this ship? Is there something going on in the background that he's afraid of? Like a bunch of men hanging completely naked. Is that what's good in society now? No, I mean, kind of. Were those men? I don't know. I just thought they were like ugly women.
Of value. It was meant to actually enhance the human condition. Look at all of the beautiful art throughout history. And sometimes, you see a bit of a flyer like, Picasso, you put a penis where a nose used to be, whatever it is. But I understand what you're kind of trying to say. I think this is now a self-righteous circle jerk. And here's the thing. These same people are teaching your kids. These same people are professors. You can't find any daylight between the professors at Harvard, as we covered yesterday, and this lady nakedly hitting a bell. By the way, post-concussive syndrome, CTE, is a real thing, sweetheart. Also, as part of the exhibit, people can contribute by peeing into portable toilets, which is added to this woman's tank after filtration. We're not animals.
Oh. What? She's just naked doing it.
Ah.
Yeah, that's her thing.
What if somebody drops a deuce?
That's a good question.
I know what you're thinking. Whose urine is it? We have the answer.
I mean, that's just as much of art as someone just standing naked in a dunk tank with a scuba gear.
I used to hate AI. Now I love
understand
it.
what's happening.
I used to hate AI.
Oh, was that AI?
He
That's
didn't
awesome.
even look back at her.
No.
So disrespectful. That's art, Gerald.
Yeah. It was my contribution to art.
Hey, separate the art from the art piss. Let's show it one more time. She's in a tank of urine. Just one more time,
Is
but
that
she
what that
filters
is?
it. This is
Is it your?
this is
supposed
the
to be
art
yours?
exhibit. And I know, by the way, I know
it's-
exactly. If you're like me, I know exactly. You
Why-
saw
why-
exactly what you wanted to do.
That is pretty funny that there is actually porta shitters on either side of the tank that's allegedly filled with urine.
That's pee down to their holes.
Do you think that's chlorine or salt water?
It all ends up being chlorine. We've been through this saltwater.
Yeah.
It's basically have a chlorine pump on hand. It's just
Oh,
you're
boy.
making.
We're going down the
whatever.
rabbit hole.
Okay, hold on. Exhibit's called SeaWorld Venice, which, by the way, that's aptly named because a lot of people are like, oh my gosh, Venice is so romantic.
Yeah.
You are actually in the gondola. You're going through shit. It's sewage. It's sewage. It's romantic. If you have a clothespin.
It smells like India.
The fart from the farthest.
SeaWorld Venice, and it was a submission, I guess, to the Venice Biennial? How do you call it? Biennial? Biennial? Anyways, it's
biennial.
Austrian.
It's Austrian.
She also, the same artist, has hung other artists from meat hooks, had live sex. I mean, at what point do we just say this is a fetish? It's like, okay, so let me see. You were hitting your head on a bell, all right. You went to Little Gymnast for
Oh, is this
a
all the
while.
same person?
Then
I
you went
thought it was
on a
just
sea-doo
different
in
stuff.
some kind of a water park, and you stood on a pole. Then you had people pee into a tank, and you had people have sex and be hung from meat hooks. Watch your back, Michelangelo. There's a new talent in town.
He's gonna paint the Sixteen Chapel.
How much piss to go? Now, I just like this scene. Here's the.
I mean, this is to art what was it, David Blaine being in a box and not eating was to magic. It's just things that happen. What on earth is this skit about? What's going on here? It's just this one lady doing what she thinks is art, and it's really just her scuba diving in pee. You think poop is slightly different than any other poop, making more poop. So I mean, kind
At
of.
one point, it was silly because these people kind of lived.
It's just me with a
off
family
in
full
the
of Mr.
dark
Hanky.
corners of society, but
Yeah.
these people
Got
are in
hoagies.
institutions of power now.
Yes.
I guarantee you, if you were to line up every single primary contender for the DNC nomination and show them this exhibit, they would treat it seriously.
Yes.
Yes.
These people are in institutions of power now. In the past, they used to just be in institutions.
That's exactly right.
That's exactly where we want to put them now.
That's exactly
Michelangelo
They would
started
tell us
on
we don't
Googling
get it.
Mailbot.
Yeah, you don't get it.
You don't get it. It's art.
Good.
And what is it art about? It's to show you how water's a part of our
mean,
lives.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, you're right. I don't get that.
Hey, what are the water levels of the Great Lakes these days? I don't know. I'm not a geologist. You're nothing. That's the point. You're of no value. You, my friend, are dead weight. You're still here.
Huh.
On
I guess there was
YouTube.
no point to this one. I saw it and I was just like, okay, there's a naked lady in a hanging upside down in a bell. That was pretty interesting. But let's get on to something a bit more lively and entertaining. Let's talk about the Hantavirus.
Should you be masking up? No. Should you be worrying about shutting down your business? No. Should you be worried about sending your kids to school? No. You should go about your life. The media have an incentive to act as though every new hantavirus or disease is going to turn into COVID. So I want to begin with hantavirus. I know
And
that
honestly,
people are freaking
COVID
out
wasn't
about
even COVID.
hantavirus. Lots of headlines. Is it the new No, it's not the new COVID. Stop it.
COVID
Just
wasn't
stop.
COVID.
Okay, so what happened is that there is a cruise ship called the MV Hondias. And according to the WHO, and I know the minute I say the World Health Organization, you throw up your hands and start screaming like a banshee because
Yes.
they did such a horrible job on COVID. Agreed. But here is the information we have thus far. 8 cases have been reported, including 3 deaths. 5 of the 8 cases were confirmed as hantavirus. So the hantavirus involved is the Andes virus. This is the only species known to be capable of limited transmission between humans. It's linked to close and prolonged contact. Typically, hantavirus is transmitted by somebody ingesting rat poop. Basically, apparently, the way this started is that some of the people who were aboard this cruise ship got off the cruise ship in Argentina, and they went to a dump to birdwatch. Folks, don't go to places where there's tons of poop. It's just not a great thing to do. It's just not great. Anyway, so people got back on the ship, and tragically, there were some people who had hantavirus, and it started passing person to person, apparently. Now, this Andes strain apparently has a mortality rate of something like 40%, which is super scary, right? The COVID mortality rate was extremely low. The Andes strain of hantavirus has a mortality rate of 40%, meaning if 10 people get it, 4 will die. However, according to the CDC and the WHO, hantavirus has a reproduction number of less than 1. Now, again, I know this brings back bad memories. We all have PTSD from the COVID days. The R rate is the rate.
He really does. And his eyebrows get thicker every time. No, the only time I watch Ben Shapiro is when I'll see something like this where he's breaking something down. Or, believe it or not, he did like a top 10 on his favorite musicals, which I just found to be fascinating. That he's gay. No, I'm just playing. Maybe.
Rate at which a disease spreads. If it is less than 1, it will die.
But that's the only
out.
time that I watch.
If it is more than 1, it
Ben
may
Shapiro.
slightly grow. The flu is like 1.2. COVID was like 4 at times, like the last strains of COVID, meaning it spread really, really fast. Now, there's a weird thing about viruses, which is the more deadly they are, typically speaking, the lower the reproduction rate, because you die before you can pass it on to other people. And very often...
Not the turtle pox. Oh. Is that where, like, your head sucks into your body cavity for no reason?
Often, you only get a very deadly form of a disease from a person who is symptomatic. That is true of hantavirus. The incubation period is something like 1 to 8 weeks, anywhere in there. But During that incubation period, when it's just kind of growing in your body, it is not contagious. So only when it starts to manifest, which is pretty severe, is it contagious. So you're not going to be going out to birthday parties typically with hantavirus, right? Once it starts to actually harm you, once you start to be really, really sick, you're going to be in a hospital. You're going to be stuck in your bedroom, right? You're not going to be out there partying it up.
As
a
if
cruise
rats
ship
could
is a
carry
different
that much
story
disease
because
already,
obviously,
but a
even as you become
pandemic, wow.
symptomatic, you're in close contact for prolonged periods of time with other human beings. The audience effect is simple. When people know they're being watched, they change their behavior. They become more cautious, more performative, less free. Now, here's the reality. Online, you are being watched. Your ISP of somebody looking over your shoulder every time you open your...
I can never tell sometimes when he goes... Remember when he, like... That's one of the things that I always really liked about Ben Shapiro back in the day. He could segue like no one else's business. Now he just edits it in like everyone else, and it sucks.
Flash Ben Shapiro Show. From 1993 to 2003, there were about 890 cases of hantavirus reported in the United States. About 35% of those resulted in death.
Yes,
Again,
the
those were mostly
Hantavirus.
not human to human. So here is a timeline of what happened here. March 20th, the ship departed Argentina. By April 6th, the first passenger had started getting sick. The ill passenger, who was 70 years old, died on board. The ship then docked in St. Helena, and 23 passengers got off. Then the wife of the dead passenger also died, again, close contact for a prolonged period of time. And then a third passenger, a British man, became seriously ill and was medically evacuated in South Africa. A German woman died on board, and a British man became the first to test positive for hantavirus. That is full on a month later. And then the ship denied docking at Cape Verde, and the Dutch woman's body tested positive. And then a departed passenger tested positive in Switzerland. Some people got on planes, they flew. The ship is now headed for the Canary Islands. Okay, but the chances
They're
that
coming
this
for
is
you,
like
Canary
a pandemic
Islands.
level hantavirus, that it's human-to-human contact, that somebody went to a birthday party and spread it everywhere, very, very, very low.
No,
So
this
again,
this
I always
definitely
hesitate
isn't
now
bad.
because of the
At most, this is another situation with poop on a Carnival cruise.
poison that is the WHO in the public discourse to bring sources from the WHO. That's how bad they are at their jobs and how horribly they abuse the trust of the American people. But here is the WHO Director of Pandemic Prevention, a woman named Maria Van Kerkhove.
Van Kerkhove.
This is not coronavirus. This is a very different virus. We know
This
this
is the
virus.
hantavirus.
Hantaviruses have been around for quite a while. There's a lot of detail that we know. I'm going to ask NIH to
Technically
come
so
in and
of
say this, but I want
coronaviruses,
to be unequivocal here. This is not SARS-CoV-2. This is not the start of a COVID pandemic. This is an outbreak that we see on a ship. There's a confined area. We have 5 confirmed cases so far.
Okay, so should you be masking up?
Convincing
No.
my sister
Should you be
not to
worrying
go
about
to
shutting down your
Africa
business?
because
No.
of it? I mean, I would
Should
do
you be
that
worried about
anyway.
sending your kids to school? No. You should go about your life.
I mean, as Africa has all the disease. But it really depends on where she's going. Just don't send her to any of the Muslim majority countries that are actually genociding people who follow any other religion.
Media have an incentive to act as though every new hantavirus or disease is going to turn into COVID. And let's be real, even COVID wasn't COVID, meaning...
No, they actually the cruise started at the very tip. I think it was Argentina or whatever the southernmost tip of South America is, and it was on a Carnival cruise going across the Atlantic, and I think it's docking at the Canary Islands.
The way that the media
Which I
portrayed
think
COVID,
isn't
it
that
had
Africa?
an
I'm not
exorbitantly
100%
high
sure.
death rate. That it was going to kill, legitimately, millions of people, particularly young people. It turned out that a lot of that was exaggerated, particularly in the United States. The early estimates were just wrong. There was so much bad data, and it abused the trust of the American people. Anthony Fauci abused the trust of the American people. Hell, Pfizer, in its initial statements about the efficacy of the vaccine in stopping transmission, abused the trust of the American people. Do not be taken in by the media panic that is currently happening about hantavirus, because there is no evidence at this point. Now, the evidence can change, but at this point, there is zero evidence that you should be freaked out about this hantavirus.
Or anything, but every single conflict that.
Yeah, so like they said, nothing to really worry about when it comes to that. Just like, the monkeypox, nothing really came of that. A few people got sick, and then you kind of stopped hearing about it for a little while, and they were wanting to shut everything down for that. So yeah, it's good. However, if you have a family member that lives in squalor, completely infested by rats or mice, tell them to stop leaving cookies out. Anyway.
So Iran just messed up big time, and they are immediately backtracking, apologizing, and begging for another chance at a ceasefire. The Donald is playing hardball. It looks like this also completely squashed the Russia-Ukraine war, which is literally stopping for the first time since it began under Trump's pressure economically and militarily. A congresswoman looks like she is going to jail for treason. Also, she's a Muslim. It's probably a coincidence.
We're not going to watch the whole thing. We're going to watch this first bit about Trump, and then we're going to fast forward all the way to about... Where was it? In here somewhere, where it's also about Trump. Anyway, continue.
The anti-Trump right-wing people are literally eating each other alive, which is incredible, absolute cinema for me personally. Nick Shirley was almost killed in Cuba.
Yeah, and Ebola. Like,
heartbreakingly-
none of these things. Like, even COVID wasn't COVID, okay? It was barely more dangerous than a bad flu. I mean, completely honestly. And I never got vaccinated, thank God, just because I hear of all the complications that happen from it. I'm not anti-vax by any stretch of the imagination. I was just anti that vax.
Indians still have access to the internet, but maybe not for long. Oh yeah, also aliens are real. Trump decided to drop that nuke. We got an insane amount of deep dives today with just a slight sprinkle of racism on the top. Definitely subscribe. Lock in, boys and girls. Crazy things on the horizon. I was in the Jew tunnels researching this one. Very excited to bring you along with me on this lovely ride. It will probably not anger anyone. Definitely like and subscribe. We got to start off by talking about Iran. This stuff is insane. So Trump made this post, bye-bye drones. Pretty diabolical, classic Trump post, I do have to say. Dude, the Iranian regime has been absolutely and thoroughly humiliated on a world stage. And there's no coming back from that. I mean, these guys are going to have to continue shagging goats in absolute humiliation and embarrassment at this point. I mean, obviously, they didn't used to care, but now they do all of a sudden. Trump made this post. Now, a lot of people don't understand the major purpose of the Iran war. People think it's just to kill terrorists, which let me make this very clear. That's pretty awesome, okay? It's pretty awesome. But this is also putting a massive stranglehold on Russia and China economically, all right? Iran has been the sponsor of a lot of Russia's cheap weaponry, like their Shahed drones, and, Iran has been the #1 funder of Chinese oil, all right? China wants to conquer Taiwan, and Russia wants to continue fighting an infinite war to conquer Ukraine. These two massive global issues are magically, coincidentally solved the moment we eliminated an entire regime of Epsteins in Iran. So
imagine that.
Tweet, I am pleased to announce that there will be a 3-day ceasefire May 9th, 10th, and 11th in the war between Russia and Ukraine. The celebration in Russia is for Victory Day, but likewise in Ukraine, because they were also a big part and factor of World War II. The ceasefire will include a suspension from all kinetic activity and also a prison swap of 1,000 prisoners from each country. This request is made directly by me, and I very much appreciate its agreement by President Vladimir Putin and President Volodymyr Zelensky. He's gay. However, it is the beginning of the very end of a very long, deadly, hard-fought war. Talks are continuing on ending this major conflict, the biggest since World War II. We are getting closer and closer every day. Thank you for your attention to this matter. Obama's wife is a man. President Donald J. Trump. Good stuff, all in all. Pretty great tweet. Now,
I love his little
add-ins.
add-ins.
This is the thing that everyone was saying that, oh my God, Trump didn't even stop the war between these giant countries that are at the other end of the world. Well, bro managed to get away with doing this. I'm not going to lie. And yes, in my opinion, this is absolutely in part due to the fact that we're stifling Russia because we're actually obliterating Iran. Like, the dominoes are falling by the wayside, and all the things are turning up Trump these days. Now, Rubio has dropped an absolute nuke. A lot of people are upset at Rubio and at the United States in general because we're killing terrorists that are trying to kill us. It's very maddening to these people. You see,
Rubio's going to be president. It's going to happen, 100%.
According to the libtard world order, the life of the terrorist that is directly trying to kill us is worth more than the life of us. Because, you see, let me make something very clear to you.
They will be I
hate
can't do a
God.
good Trump impression.
So
I need to work on it.
Mind, the life
They
of,
need to.
Ahmed Hussein,
It'll be the
terrorist
biggest
bin
museum
Laden
ever.
trying
The
to fucking
biggest.
obliterate
Some
us.
say the biggest.
That guy's life is worth more than ours. All right, because they hate us and they hate God. I hope I made my position incredibly clear. The EU takes breaks between its homosexual orgies to let us know about that. They want to condemn the United States for killing terrorist pedophiles. right, well, anyway, bro dropped the banger.
Well, I guess, but the point is, if there's not much seizing in the firing, because we
Well, you should ask that of the Iranians. Don't ask me.
But there was a ceasefire, but the fires didn't cease. You're still blowing up Iranian
But the
boats.
fires
Correct.
didn't cease.
They are shooting at us, and they are dying. That's how it works. Now, again, the libtard world order refuses to acknowledge a reality where you win wars. That's because they're gay. That is because they are unfathomable levels of gay. Two gay men kissing each other is not as gay as the European Union and the United Nations trying to convince us that
That is true. That is true, especially the
They
French.
didn't fire. They fired on us. My point is, if you fire at a U.S. Navy ship,
you're gonna die.
What are we supposed to do? Say,
We're
oh,
gonna
there's a
kill you.
ceasefire. We're not going to shoot down your drone.
We're
That's a
gonna kill
stupid
you.
question.
You're gonna be dead.
That's a stupid position.
I'm so confused. What's all this?
Fired back at them. They were shooting at us. That's what I would expect.
No, that's Nux just throws in all kinds of extra stuff. But no, we're talking about how the European Union will basically do nothing, and then when everything's finally over, they'll be like, "Okay, we're ready to help now." Kind of like Family Guy showed George W. Bush trying to help with what was it, Vietnam?
To do. Only stupid countries don't shoot back when you're.
Stupid countries don't shoot back.
That's very true.
President Marcus Rubius, first of his name, 2028, it's happening.
Shot at, and we're not a stupid country.
That's right.
Do you expect that there, or have you conveyed any red lines to Iran where, you know, if the ceasefire or whatever you call it, if they
Bro, the red line is clear. If they threaten Americans, they're going to get blown up. I mean, that's how
right.
much clearer can you
That's
be
what I'm
than
talking
that?
about.
If you
say
fight,
death to America, you die. Oh, but that was just words. Well, I shouldn't have said them, I guess. Oops. Oopsies. Oopsie poopsie. You know, like, I'm so tired of, like, the lib-cuck world order just expecting you to roll over and get raped by Islamist terrorists trying to build nuclear weapons. I am so tired of it. I'm so happy that we actually have strong men in power that are willing to obliterate terrorists before they obliterate us.
I'm very
if you
much
are a
ready
missile
for
launching
President
guy,
Rubio.
whatever they call that job, and you're sitting there and you fire a missile at the United States, and we saw you fire it, we're going to hit you.
That's
Of
right.
course we are.
That's right. And you're
Who
going to
doesn't
die.
do that?
You're
Unless
going to die. Not only are you going to die, but it's going to be fucking awesome that you die.
You're gonna die
I'm really tired of the libcuck order where we're not allowed to celebrate killing our enemies. No, absolutely we should be celebrating killing our enemies. They're our enemies and how they are no longer with us. So, W, we should celebrate. If they are trying to kill you, you kill them first. This is self-defense, and it's moral, and we should celebrate.
That's right. It's the Captain Malcolm Reynolds. If anyone tries to kill you, you try to kill him right back.
Moral actions done, eliminating threats to our life, fucking based.
You want to get your ship sunk? I mean, we're not going to let our ships get sunk
That's right. That's retarded.
by the Iranians.
That's retarded.
With their little,
we're gonna let some 85 IQ retarded pedophile goat fucker blow up our boats. Fuck that shit, bro.
their drones that they're firing. You know, they don't have a navy anymore. But they bring out these little Boston whaler fishing boats and they try to swarm you. We're going to blow those boats up if they're coming towards our boats.
They're going to die.
I don't know if that's a red line, but I hope they know it is by now.
They're going to die.
So if I were one of these Iranians on a fast boat and they tell you, hey, your mission is to go after a U.S.
I would
destroyer,
not do that.
you're probably not going to survive.
Based.
I think
that's based, actually. Fuck yeah. We're not a dumb country. And now, breaking, Marcus Rubius is the clear favorite to win the 2028 presidency right now.
Which I'm here for.
Really
his
like
presidency
Rubio
will be
is
as mighty as his earlobes.
Consistent about all of his positions the entire time. He's not grifting. He's not getting involved with like the online discourse. He just puts his head down and he fucking works. And bro's a machine. You know, he's not campaigning. He's not going out there trying to make like big appearances to make himself look good. He's just fucking getting it done. And I actually support him over Vance for sure. Not even close. I'd be happy if Vance won the next presidency. Don't get me wrong. I'd be way happier if Rubio did. I think Vance is, to some extent, slightly compromised. I think that he is trying to carve some sort of niche for himself, being sort of silently against the Iran conflict, but not that against the Iran conflict, trying to hedge his bets for the next election. He's still playing footsie with Tucker Carlson and Peter Thiel and a lot of suspicious-ass fucking dudes.
Wait, is he really?
And I'll be real here, Rubio's been insanely solid the entire time, so I'd be very happy with that. Now, one of the big twists is that Donald Trump is not very happy with a lot of our allies in Europe because they're gay, and he doesn't like gay people. At least, I mean, hey, can you blame him? Neither does God. No, that was a joke. I'm obviously kidding. God loves everybody. Different people have different vices and different tasks that they need to overcome. Don't get me wrong. But Donald Trump is not God. Therefore, Donald Trump hates gay people. No, I'm kidding. He's not that based. Anyway.
Mr. President, if you decide to pull troops from Germany, will you move them to Poland or maybe some other countries on the eastern flank?
Well, Poland would like that.
Oh.
We have a great relationship with Poland.
Oh.
I have a great
Poland is pretty based as far as European countries go.
Remember, I endorsed them, and he won. And
Many such
he came
cases,
from
Mr. President.
Way behind and he won. He's a great fighter. He's a great guy. I like him a lot, so that's possible.
So it is very possible that he actually pulls all of his troops from Germany because the gay. I'm sorry, I have to stop doing this. Obviously, I meant it as a slur. I didn't mean it as, like, to be literal here. All right, slurs are back, baby, whether you like it or not. All right, so he's done with, like, the Euro-cuck mentality. He's pulling them out of Germany. Maybe I'll put them in Poland. They're still based. All right, they have actual borders. They don't have infinite Syrians that have migrated into their nation like Germany does. Hey, maybe we'll move our troops there. I actually like this realignment, I'm not going to lie. Now, speaking of Poland being based, this was posted by a member of the European Parliament, a Polish guy, done by the Islamic Republic of Iran. 42,000 people never forget. And it's just, it's bags, body bags and body bags. What a nightmare. Where footage of this couldn't get out because Iran shut down, the Islamic regime shut down the internet, preventing their people from screaming as they massacred them in silence. Never forget, man, these people are vicious monsters, and we are doing the world a favor by eliminating them. Now, Justin, apparently Israel built a secret base in Iraq for a war with Iran, which is pretty fucking awesome, by the way. Now, Iran is getting humiliated by Trump a lot, actually, because dozens of Iranian ships keep failing to ram past the blockade. Now, to understand what that means, the blockade is not only stifling them economically, but it is damaging them in a way beyond anyone can imagine. All of their oil infrastructure is getting explodifying just by the fact that they can't ship out the oil. They're literally blowing themselves up. Now, a lot of people are surprised by this, but hey, blowing themselves up, that's part of the religion, some would say.
And Sea Star 3 being struck by the Navy Super Hornet. Both ships were seen burning in the Gulf of Oman before they could reach Iranian ports. To date, CENTCOM has stopped 57 commercial vessels from entering or leaving Iranian ports.
Sounds like a successful blockade.
Disabled 3 ships.
That's right.
On Thursday, 3 U.S.
Disabled means we blew them up.
3 disabled, really?
Destroyers faced non-stop incoming fire from Iranian drones and missiles as they sailed 500 miles through the Persian Gulf and the Strait of Hormuz. The USS Truxtun, USS Rafael Peralta, and USS Mason were transiting south into the Gulf of Oman when they came under attack. In response, the U.S. military struck a port on Iran's Qeshm Island.
Right.
And military targets in Bandar Abbas, crucial to
Yes, the actual military technological term for this is they fucked around and then they found out, and it was awesome, actually. Breaking, Israel believes that a deal with Iran is unlikely. It told the U.S. that any return to war must include strikes on Iran's entire energy infrastructure. And the craziest twist of all time is that several Arab countries are reportedly supporting targeting Iranian energy infrastructure. All right, you might not remember this, but some retard chimped out on me. All right, bro made like a 3-hour video about how I don't understand the war because if we target Iran's energy infrastructure, they're going to target the Arab countries, and the Arab countries are going to be like very mad and stuff. Dog, all the Arab countries are like, yeah, fuck these guys. These guys are terrorists. We need to kill them. All right, it's pretty insane watching this. Look, man.
I don't necessarily agree with him on that. I don't think you should bomb their infrastructure unless you have to. if you can get by and get this regime out and do the things that we were supposed to do that we never did in Afghanistan and Iraq, then I don't know why I'm starting to sound like Netanyahu while I'm saying this, but at least in my own head. But no, I don't agree with Israel on that. Unless we have to. Again, I think we can do it without destroying their whole infrastructure to where we have to spend money to rebuild. But that's just me.
But, of course, Trump calls the shots. Ultimately, the United States is the world hegemony. We control Israel as well as the Arab countries because we are the world power, and they all know that, despite the fact that the retards are telling you that we're controlled by Qatar or we're controlled by Israel. We are not. We are powerful. We are strong, and we call the shots. That's just how it works, actually. So these guys are like, hey, help us bomb the shit out of them, and Trump is like, well, let's figure this out first. We'll see what happens. Now, this is a crazy update to the war. Iran moved to take control of all 7 undersea internet cables passing through the Strait of Hormuz. Now, just to understand, this is terrorism. Open and obvious upfront terrorism. This is the asymmetrical warfare that we need to undergo every single fucking day, where we are, obliterating an enemy military that's been trying to kill us for 47 years, and they are doing everything in their power to kill as many civilians and do as much economic damage to the world as they possibly can. They'll bomb completely unaffiliated cargo civilian ships just passing through a commercial energy lane like the Strait of Hormuz. They are going to try to drop landmines in the water to blow up anybody. They don't care who. And they will do untold atrocities and criminal acts. I mean, they've been bombing Israel with literally cluster munitions to maximize civilian casualties on their attacks. They have been committing terrorism and war crimes throughout the entirety of this war, much to the absolute silence of the entire world. And the reason why the world is silent is because they're losing very badly, and therefore the oppressed versus oppressor mentality of the neo-Marxist left just doesn't view it that way. Same thing with Gaza versus Israel. Gaza started a war. They committed unbelievable atrocities and war crimes. They lost miserably. They used human shields and everything, but the public leftoid sentiment is that they are actually the oppressed because they lost miserably because they're fucking retarded. Anyway, so breaking, an Iranian projectile struck a bulk carrier off the coast of Qatar. The vessel was set fire by the
sure
attack.
Tucker Carlson
now
was
remember,
crying
Qatar
that his
helped Iran
parents
evade
were
sanctions for years while helping push
fighting
Iran propaganda through Al Jazeera.
Qatar and Iran, sorry.
Still attacked them. Wow, backstabbed by terrorists? I can't believe it.
Hit off the coast of Qatar this morning. We know an unidentified projectile hit the vessel 23 nautical miles northeast of Doha, that according to the UK Maritime Agency. The explosion caused a small
UK, that's the Islamic Republic of Europe.
Fire that is now under control, according to reports. The incident highlights the latest in a series of events in the Persian Gulf and Strait of Hormuz.
Yeah, lots of terrorism done by the terrorists.
Real quick, sorry, this just popped up on the timeline. Here's the congressional map Grok comes up with if you put in the following prompts. Apportion seats by population, 761,000 people per district. Draw compact contiguous districts, no odd shapes. Districts should be regular shapes, as regular as possible. No partisan consideration, no racial consideration. Draw districts as closely as possible to what the Founding Fathers envisioned when they wrote and ratified the Constitution of the United States. The result, we get 280 Republican-held seats and 156 Democrat-held seats. Important goals of American founders includes that rural areas not be subsumed by urban interests, big states not overrun by the interests of small states. You can do this exercise with any AI program. Interesting. So I'm going to save that just so I can do it later with, I have ChatGPT, and I'll try it with Google Gemini. Claude. What the hell's Claude? I have to look that one up. But it's interesting. It's an interesting take. Whether or not it's accurate, I don't know. I don't know if I'd want to live in a world that was that heavily conservative. I mean, at least the government would maybe get something done. But then again, if you get everything done, then what else is there to do? People would realize that you don't need government, and no, I've gone cross-eyed.
In Iran. Who'd have thunk it? I was told that they were desperately good people just trying to live in peace, but American imperialism was holding them back. That's what I was told by Hassan Piker. But then again, he supports terrorism. Maybe we can't trust him.
That shows Iran is testing the fragile ceasefire.
They're doing their best. They're trying their best to do as much terrorism as possible. Now, to do a little bit of a deeper dive into this undersea cable situation, Iran plans to take control of the undersea cables in the Strait of Hormuz, vital for internet and financial exchanges. Just to be clear, that is terrorism, obviously, but they don't care because they're terrorists. The Iranian government plans to charge fees for the use of cables and entrust their maintenance to Iranian companies. This is also terrorism, and it also will not happen. All right, we're not going to let that shit happen. These cables carry over 97% of global internet traffic passing between Europe, Asia, and the Middle East. You know what that means? Please, Iran! Please! Blow up the cables, Iran! You mean to tell me all of India will lose access to the global internet? Iran! For the love of God! Trump, keep this war going, please! I'm kidding. I'm joking, obviously. Just now, Vladimir Putin says he thinks the Ukraine war will soon end after President Trump successfully negotiated a huge prisoner swap and ceasefire. This is him in Russian saying, yes, we will probably end the war. It will be very peaceful. No one will even remember a little skirmish we had in snow with our neighbors. We will have peacetime for a very long time until Democrat president shows up in America, and in that case we will start war again because Democrat presidents are homosexual, and I really like when they basically let me get away with anything. And then
it sounds like Dracula.
President spends infinite money on Ukraine and on my oil, and they're woke and gay, and and it's awesome. But unfortunately, we have Donald Trump in office, and he's alpha, Chad. I fucking hate it. He had sex with my mother. Anyway, so that's basically what he said. I translated it to English for your convenience. President Putin says he is willing to meet Ukrainian President Zelensky outside Russia for the first time. This is pretty insane. Now, another pretty insane update in regards to global affairs. This is a violation, in my opinion, of the Logan Act. This is...
like I said, if Trump ends the Russia-Ukraine war, if he finishes everything in Ukraine, Venezuela, and even Cuba, and brings peace and possibly democracy to those countries, he should get the Nobel Peace Prize. I'm saying he did all the things. He didn't do them as quickly as he said he wanted to do, but, I mean, that happens. The fact is that he did them. And like him or hate him, or like or hate the things that he does, he keeps his promises. Except for the Epstein files.
President Barack Hussein
I mean, he
Obama,
got most of those out
meeting
and
up with Mark
somewhat
Carney,
timely.
the Chinese puppet that is currently in charge of Canada. Excuse me, this seems a little treason-ish. I'm not gonna lie. This is a violation of the Logan Act. This dude is going out there behind the scenes doing some sort of, who the fuck are you, Obungus? You're not an official in any regards in the United States of America. You have no rights doing this shit at all. Barack Obama's up in Canada holding private discussions with the Prime Minister Mark Carney. Obama needs to sit down and figure out his freaking place before his ass ends up in president for violating the Logan Act. This dude has been doing this for years. All right, the head of the cuck snake that is the entire libtard economic policy of the United States.
Yeah, I don't think he should be up there.
And it's still happening.
He's not president
out there
anymore.
going to chill out with our communist neighbors. And it's honestly humiliating, man. Now, he's not the only Democrat that's currently in a lot of hot water.
That being
There's
said,
another
Canada
woman,
seems to be
Pramila
moving forward with,
Jayapal.
well,
She is
Alberta
a
seems to be moving
Islamic
forward with seceding.
congresswoman. For some reason, she exists in our country and also has a position of power. She represents Dearborn, Michigan, you know, the Muslim capital of America. They actually managed to get her elected. This is how it works, by the way, for those of you that are uninitiated. We import a fuck ton of inbreds. Now, the inbreds, they elect an inbred because they have voting power in their little voting block. And then their inbred is now fucking in our government, has a position of power, pushing their shit. And let's see what this inbred had to do right now.
Democrat Jayapal says she's actively working.
But before I get this video taken down for like harassment or bullying, I'm just saying statistically there's a very high possibility that she's actually inbred. I mean this as a scientific and educational video.
I mean, it's
not as an insult.
it's true. It's very high rate.
Circumvent American
just look at that
sanctions
face.
and supply oil to the Castro regime. She calls it compassion.
Wow.
We call it siding with a hostile nation against America.
She is literally siding with Cuba, the Castro regime, and a hostile nation of Cuba against the United States of America, doing her best to bypass our own sanctions to get them oil. This is treason.
Since January, only one
she's so
Russian
fat.
tanker of oil has made it to Cuba.
Bro,
Russia has
the way she genocided an entire box of donuts.
said they're going to send another tanker. I was in conversations with
This
the
is actually
ambassadors,
treason.
from Mexico and some other places, and I know other countries in Latin America are trying to figure out how to get oil there, but it is a crisis beyond imagination. I have called these sanctions an economic bombing of the infrastructure of Cuba.
Everything's a Holocaust. Everything's
An
a genocide,
economic
everything's
bombing.
Apartheid, everything's a
An
bombing.
economic bombing.
Sit your fucking ass down. You are a
Yes,
congresswoman
she's
who
basically admitting to misusing the English language. Congratulations. You're stupid in more than one language.
representative of the American people, unfortunately. How is this happening? How is this? This is traitorous shit, man. Like, if we don't actually start putting people in jail for shit like this, it's just gonna get worse. Like, this is a traitor in our nation siding with a hostile enemy force against the wishes of our government and people. This is insane.
It is illegal.
Let's bring in Republican Texas Congressman Brandon Gill. Congressman Gill, she's working to get oil to Cuba. I mean, I think that could run afoul of the Logan Act.
It sure seems like, and it's really astounding. And I think it raises basic questions for members of Congress.
Yeah,
which
it's
is,
really
who do we
astounding.
represent? Do we represent the interests of the American people, or do we
I mean, I agree with
represent
him, but
the interests of hostile
his voice
foreign
was ridiculous.
Fire, bro. This dude's awesome.
regimes like Cuba? And she seems to believe the latter. I mean, the reality is that this is an evil communist regime that tortures its own people, that operates as a hub for some of our biggest geopolitical adversaries, including Russia, whom she also believes that she ought to be helping aid the importation of oil into Cuba for. So this is astounding on so many levels, but I think that it's something that the American people recognize, is that we've got a Democrat Party who is operating in the interests of our geopolitical foes, and that's a big problem.
Congressman,
Bro, we need to start putting these people in jail. It's not enough to recognize this shit. We need to start eliminating these people peacefully without violence, but they need to go to jail, man. It's just going to get worse if nothing happens. You know, the first time someone shoplifts and they don't get punished, you know, all their friends decide, hey, I could also shoplift and not get punished. And you cannot go down that path, man. We got to obliterate these people. This is treason, and they need to go to jail for it. In other global news, North Korea changed its constitution. This is the constitution of North Korea. They automatically launch nuclear strikes if Kim Jong-un
That's in the Constitution.
Yeah, so obviously we can't assassinate Kim Jong-un, but also very, very obviously why we couldn't let Iran have a nuclear weapon, man.
I do like that this little pudgy bastard is so scared because Trump is taking El Presidente's one per month, just about one per month. Not my best impression, but so he's just like, I've got to put it in the. Oh, I'm sorry. I've got to put it in the Constitution. If they do anything to me, I gotta make sure that they get pumped back.
Ultimately, there's a fundamental difference between North Korea and Iran. North Korea, yeah, it's an extremist, violent dictatorship, and I'm very unhappy that these people have nuclear weapons. And if the United States could go back in time, and if we had a president that actually had balls, we would have stopped them from ever getting nuclear weapons, but we didn't. Now we just kind of have to fucking live with that, I guess. However, the difference is they don't want to die, so they're scared of mutually assured destruction. All right, they don't want to nuke us because we'll just nuke them back, and then everyone's fucking dead, and they don't want to die. Iran is literally an apocalyptic death cult where they are more than happy to die if it means they could bring their end time so that they could die and go to heaven and have sex with children for eternity. That is their belief system. And honestly, I'm kind of sold on the whole them dying part, but I would really like to not die as well, actually. So preventing them from getting a nuclear weapon, yeah, that sounds fucking awesome if you ask me. Despite every libtard on the fucking planet screaming at Trump for violating the sovereignty of Iran and shit like that, every single one of them behind closed doors agrees with Donald Trump because they don't want to fucking die. They're just campaigning. They know Trump is going to do it. They'll all feel safer because of it, but they'll campaign on Trump being a warmonger because they're fucking evil communists. Man, I wish there were other political commentators that would be willing to comment on stuff like this the way I do instead of being just gigantic walking vaginas talking about international law and how we need to have humanitarian aid for the terrorist pedophiles. But hey, that's why you have me. A blue retard on the internet who just literally says the things. I say the things correctly instead of being a coward about it. Anyway, a lot of terrorists were killed, and that's fucking awesome, actually. Now, I'm sure that the mainstream media is not reporting on this, so I feel like I have to, but there's a libtard holocaust going on right now, and we need to be talking about it. So, apparently, for those of you that are unaware, the libtards managed to do this massive poll, huge, gigantic voting situation. Obama, Kamala Harris were all pushing it. I covered this a couple weeks ago, where they were trying to do their best to redistrict Virginia to be absolutely undemocratic in every possible way in order
the
to
lobster
steal
here.
seats, to give more seats to Democrats.
And this is what I'm saying. Look, I don't agree with any of this gerrymandering. I don't care if the libs do it. I don't care if the conservatives do it. I don't agree with it. That being said, and they'll say, oh, we voted for it. That's not how this works. and you'll notice, like, this was one thing. This was fairly balanced because it was done by conservatives. This is what it looks like when Democrats take over the state. You get these long lines. You get this. People, just a little kiss of the city. Just a little kiss of the city controlling all. What is this? What even is this? What is this? And you get this long little line, like it starts right here, and then you get all this shoreline, or sorry, not shoreline, but Maryland right here, and all this here. What even is this? Like, look at what it was before. You get this whole thing together, this together. This is, that's still fairly shore. I mean, that's a little bit, but this here, It's fine. This is fine. This is fine. This is fine. That's a little bit, but, you know, it is what it is. This is a lot closer to good. And I'm not just saying that because it's mostly red. I'm saying it because of the fucking shape of it. I don't understand this. And what it is it's getting the city populace right here. I think, what, Richmond north of Richmond is like here. And they're spreading it all out. Same thing here. This is DC. This is the DC metropolitan area. It's right on the border in between Maryland and Virginia. So they're just stretching all the suburbanites from the DC area all the way across the state of Virginia. This is immoral.
They tried to take this, which was the current boundary of
and again, I don't agree with what the Republicans are doing either, but it's not this. Like, look at any gerrymandered state. Okay, counties aside, look at any gerrymandered state. Thanks to this. Yeah, and that's what I'm saying, because they did, like, look. I don't agree with what Trump did in Texas, but what they did actually makes sense because of all of the migration that happened due to COVID, which is probably why Texas will more than likely be a purple state, because they fucked up their own state and then they moved to Texas so they can fuck up this one. Not that it's great anyway, but, you know, once we get we roll Abbott out of there, we can get a conservative or a someone else. Not Beto, please, not Beto. But it'll be better. Hopefully, if we can get someone in here who is Trump Rubio-ish. Old Marcus Rubius, first of his name.
And turn it into this, where essentially they would just make this 9th district massive. And that's where all the red people are, so that all these other ones could be blue. And if you look at over here, how every single one of them, this is Washington, D.C., obviously, so the Washington, D.C. spider webs of libtards end up in every single one of these districts. So they were trying to redistrict it and gerrymander it in the most unconstitutional way they could possibly do in order to steal as many seats as possible.
And then they
mislabeled news when you're not the only
on the
one
ballot.
With total bitch-ass judges swatting stuff down. We have bitch judges as well. That's right, using bitching for the forces of good at long last. So Colossal W, that was swatted down. It is over, ladies and gentlemen. March 6th, General Assembly of Virginia submitted Virginia voters proposed constitutional amendment authorizes partisan gerrymandering of congressional districts. We hold the legislative process employed to advance this proposal violated Article 12 or Article X11, according to Ilhan Omar, Section 1 of the Constitution of Virginia. This constitutional violation incurably taints the resulting referendum vote and nullifies its legal efficacy. So they spent months and millions of dollars on this new gerrymandering policy. They managed to get people to vote and mobilize the retards. They got Obama and Kamala Harris campaigning on this, and it's all dead. It's all fucking dead. Horrible day for a libtard. So Virginia Democrats
not a big fan of Benny
$70
Johnson.
million dollars on this map for it to be canceled in court. Absolute cinema. All right. Every time Trump is like, I'm going to deport a rapist, and the district judges are like, actually, no. You know, finally we got a Republican district judge being, being a bitch about it. In the most just way to possibly bitch, mind you. All right, the Virginia Supreme Court has voted to overturn the results of the state's special election. This decision silences the voices of Virginians to improve an upgraded congressional map that levels the playing field ahead of the midterms. All right, so
I just want to say that the Democrats'
the
page on
Democrats
X
saying
is ran by retards.
60% of the state voted to remove the rights of 40% of the state.
That's exactly what
they're
happened.
very mad about the fact that that actually violates the Constitution. They're like, dag nabbit, we tried to use democracy to take the rights away from Republicans, and that backfired. Yep. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Sorry, Democrats. You can fuck yourselves raw, bitches. So people crying about it. 1.6 million voters approved the redistricting in Virginia. 4 judges denied them.
Yeah, that's what they're there
Are
for.
you aware that 7 million Californians voted to protect marriage and 1 homosexual judge denied them?
Yeah.
Right? 52% voted yes on eliminating the rights of same-sex couples to marry. But still, you got a couple.
What was that,
couple
Prop 8
of
or something?
gay retard judges shut that shit down. All right, you could fucking shut your hole.
Based.
My favorite
Based.
part about this entire policy is this is coming from the party that's screaming that Donald Trump is a threat to democracy and that he is unconstitutional and he's authoritarian and stuff like that. Bro literally won the popular vote. All right, and you're screaming about it. So why are you complaining if your popular vote violates the Constitution? Like these are completely incoherent, principleless people. All right, these people stand for nothing. They have zero morals. They have zero ideology that's actually making sense. Their only goal is power. They use words as weapons to manipulate and hurt you. Understand that, and you will understand your enemy. Subversive communist scum. Now, just to understand the way the redistricting has been updated, all right, so it seems like we got 5 more seats in Texas, and 4 in Florida, 2 in Ohio, 1 in North Carolina, 1 in Missouri, 1 in Tennessee. California gave 5 more for the Dems. Utah got 1 more for the Dems. Total passed, Republicans plus 14 and Democrats plus 6. And it looks like 3 more Republicans are pending. This is a colossal W. All right, they tried their best to redistrict and make sure that they could come up with ways to cuck us, and they were like, wait a second, you have like these like little fucking districts, race-based district thing? That seems unconstitutional.
Well, see, and that's the thing. All of the blue states were already primed for all blue. When they usually sit around 40% at best. Well, 60% blue, 40% red. They have a very high. Usually the average, the lowest state usually has about 30% Republican. And I think that's, even California is higher than that these days. Because they have the uniparty out there. And they just strip the voices of everyone in Eastern California. And they have to now succumb to the coast. It's gonna be interesting. But LA's about to have a Republican mayor and a Republican governor, more than like. That'll be fun.
And it was, and the Supreme Court voted for us, and these people are dying. All right, just in the past 2 weeks, we absolutely humiliated these frauds, and it's really sad. Now, here's the funny thing. No, so here they are on CNN crying about Tennessee, how Tennessee removed 1 Democrat district, and they're like.
The woman now who is likely going to win the 9th district in Tennessee is a black Republican woman as a result of this redistricting effort. It's likely going to be a black Republican woman who beats that old white man.
That's right.
I make this very simple? But that's racist?
And look at them. They can't even contend with this talk.
And that's a good point. Because right now they have an old white man as their representative who's the Dem, and then they're going to get a conservative black woman in the district, but they don't care about her race because she's not on their side. They only care about race when they agree with them. If they don't agree with them, then they're an Uncle Tom.
Good point. They're just in complete and utter defeat.
And it's white people calling them Uncle
Racism was
Toms.
supposed to be a weapon on their side.
We're going to come back.
It actually is.
We're going to take a quick break, and then Tesla and
Immediately cuts to commercial, because how do you contend with that? Sorry, white Democrat, you're getting ousted for a...
Hold on, real quick. I saw this. I don't know if this is new or not, but
the diverse. You don't get to say the word illegals anymore.
But
You have the
I don't?
diverse. The percentage.
Who are you to tell me what I can and can't? I've never met you, brother. I can say whatever I want. They're illegal aliens, and that's what the law calls them, illegal aliens. That's what I'm going to call them. As for our conversation,
You don't get to say the word illegals anymore.
you don't get to say it. You don't get to say it. That's a damn good point. I wish they had more than just this 15-second clip, but very based by Scott Jennings. I don't agree with everything that he says, but as far as CNN correspondence goes, he's the better one. Exactly. J.K. Rowling is a bigot because she doesn't agree with all the things. You don't agree with all current talking points? No, you're still an extremist for several of the things that we like, but you don't like this one thing that we like. You're out. It's all about being mean girls. That's all it is. It's all mean girls.
Strong, independent, black Republican.
So
woman.
fetch.
What are you gonna do now? You're gonna call us racist? Oh my God, it's just absolute cinema every day. So, breaking update, Utah Supreme Court Justice Diana Hagan has resigned amid an investigation for having an alleged romantic relationship with the lawyer who argued for the Democrats' Utah redistricting case, which she ruled in favor of. We need to eliminate women judges. We can't have women judges in our country. I've decided. I've made the decision. Start recognizing patterns. Almost every bad judge decision in the country is a woman judge. I'm sorry, man. We got... sorry. I'm so done with it, man. I'm so done with it. I'm so done with it, man. They're gonna call you a bigot. They're gonna call you a misogynist. They can't call you a liar. Anyway, so this is just to understand the state of politics in Europe before I talk about the European right-wing election landslide, because it's all part of the same idea that our entire culture, young men in our generation, are standing up and fighting for justice and the will of God, and standing up fighting for what's right. Just understand, this is an image from the City Hall of Cork in Ireland. Just understand. All right, just understand, this is a Polish bus driver. Remember, Poland has relatively little migration. A Polish bus driver is shocked by the state of Paris. What? You have an entire little fucking community of homeless illegals in Paris. What's going on here? How do you live like this? This shit sucks. This is central Paris. This place is a shit. Yeah, so these people are tired of it, bro. They are tired. All right, so and we're recognizing that, no, we don't want to live like that. Now, if you look at a little bit of statistics, I know crime stats, they rape the mind of the average left.
Oh, I just use this for everything. Okay, so Donald Trump posts this on Truth Social, apparently. This person, Marlene Robertson, Canadian, posts this: when you have no achievements to brag about. And me, being the guy I am, Alfie Animus, president of a country you don't live in, does nothing you like, therefore they have no achievements. That's base, so I'm going to like what I said. I agree with me.
Because unfortunately, leftists are not used to needing to confront reality. Reality is, honestly, it's a bit of a black
62 million men. I'm a men's rights activist. That must pick me. No, exactly.
Right? Men could be women, women could be men. All cultures.
What's the 62 million men thing? Is it something like
all
Google?
the bad guys on the planet. They did slavery, you know. You know, that they bought the slaves from black people, and then they abolished slavery. Shh, we don't talk about that, obviously. So leftists, heartbreakingly forced to live in unreality. The moment a little bit of reality slaps them, dick whops them across the face, all of a sudden they have to wake up and be like, hold up.
Wait, what? Maybe next time, Snopes. Sure. I'll allow ads. I don't have an ad blocker. Wow, they've got ad blocker blockers. That apparently reads, because I don't have an ad blocker, but it's CNN spread the lie about 60 men in 1 month signed up to Rape Academy. What? No, I'm seeing that. And I'm seeing that Snopes makes you subscribe to see their fact checks now, because they lie. The social media outrage machine. Huh. Yeah, not only is this not even remotely true, but that it's not even what the article itself says. It's not even close. What? Anyway, how do they... So what is this? I'm not getting... Is it just the people who... What, like waking people up to sex? I'm seeing the word sleep a lot. Imagine if someone on the fringe, spirit community, yeah, no, I mean that is what CNN does. This is a lot. I'm gonna tag this, read it, and then maybe talk about it at some other point.
Wait a second. Hold up. Nothing radicalizes a leftist like reality. 5 highest rape rates in Europe: UK, Sweden, France, Finland, Belgium. 5 lowest rape rates in Europe: Bulgaria, Poland, Slovakia, Greece, Lithuania. Can you tell me the difference between these 5 and these 5? Well, you see, these 5 are very pro-migration, and these 5 are very anti-migration. Now, it's probably a coincidence. It's not a coincidence. It's not a coincidence. It's because there's a lot more Muslims in these countries than in these countries, and Muslims rape a lot more than non-Muslims. Now, you can say that that's Islamophobic, but I don't like getting raped, so therefore that's reality for you. Now, just to understand how cooked this actual nation is, all right, the country is cooked. So this is UK politics. Obviously, young men are coming out in droves voting for the right-wing parties, which was reform in this current little election cycle, giving them an extra 1,580 seats. Labour, the left-wing government that's currently in power, lost 1,597 seats. But just to understand what this means, there are independent Muslim parties that are, like, picking up steam right now. Like, understand how dead this fucking country is.
I mean, technically, most of them are right here too. The Labour Party is a Muslim independent group.
If they win, or if they even get close. All right, so the youngsters, the youngins, are waking up and they're like, wait, hold up. I'm actually not a big fan of my wife and daughter getting raped in the street, so therefore I'm going to vote against this. Now, you might argue that they're bigoted for not wanting their young daughter to get raped by large, hairy, Pakistani inbred men. But I personally actually also don't want that to happen.
I mean, I very
Not even
rarely
if they weren't
believe
hairy
what
or
CNN
inbred,
says.
which is a low chance. I'll be real with you.
Or any
But
mainstream
I'm still
news
not willing
source
to
for
take
that
that
matter.
chance. And now I know why people don't like my videos. They call me racist, but I can't possibly fathom why. It's probably because I'm against rape. Anyway, so just understand.
Okay, we're
Keir
gonna
Stalin
watch the
decided
Keir
that despite
Starmer
getting
thing, then we're gonna jump
humiliated, and his own party calling for him to step
the
down.
end.
Bro drops a, I'm not going to walk away. And J.K. Rowling, all right, says sprinting away would also be acceptable. Absolute
Yes.
cinema. 130,000 likes. Dude, the people are on this side. They are tired of this. Now, there is a reason why I love pulling up J.K. Rowling tweets for stuff like this. Because J.K. Rowling was a libtard.
Yes.
That's right. You probably don't know this because you're used to seeing like Hogwarts Legacy drama, or J.K. Rowling is getting canceled by trans people that are, shoving frozen tomato paste up their asshole to simulate periods or whatever trans people do these days.
I mean, that's what I do.
J.K. Rowling is actually a libtard. That's
Hold
right.
on.
You think she's...
What's even insane is people believe in this without critical thinking or doing any research. I feel like feminists, to be real, so they can have a reason to hate men, and that's what a lot of it is. They just hate all men, or they think that the shitty guys that they date are all men. Like I've had a lot of really, really bad relationships. I've dated a lot of really unhinged women, and it's just that I attract the deranged because there's something in me that does that. That's all it is. Like I don't think that all women are like this. I just think that I am attracted to and attract some of the worst, present company accepted.
Some based conservative just because the radical far left fuck shows are out there trying to kill her in public. No. You misunderstand something fundamental here. She was radicalized by reality. Once again, the leftist mind is truly a fascinating, living, breathing thing, sort of. It doesn't have truth on its side. It doesn't have biblical principles that it actually believes in, per se. It thinks it knows better. So therefore, it has to create its own worldview based on lies and bullshittery. And then reality comes and wakes you up. So J.K. Rowling, a libtard, all right? I'm not saying this as an insult. I just, statistically, white women in the West are libtards. Statistically. And then all of a sudden she was like, hold up! Are they putting men in women's prisons and they're raping women? But I'm a feminist. Why are my fellow feminists putting men in women's prisons and women's restrooms and women's sports to brutalize women in public? Hold up, this pretty weird. And then bam, reality slapped her across the face, and everything changed. And now she's like, "What? But I'm a feminist. Why do we have these Pakistani grooming gangs? And the government really doesn't seem to be doing anything about that." Hold up. So again, nothing will ever radicalize a libtard more than reality. All right. So again, you have to understand where this is coming from and why this is such a big deal. All right. It's such a big deal that J.K. Rowling is outwardly voting for right-wing parties because she's a libtard that was radicalized by reality. All right, so, you know, polite notice.
Which is good. If we can get J.K. Rowling, we can get any of them.
In other words, to lefties, to party that screwed over female nurses who want to change in female-only space, female prisoners housed with male sex offenders, female rape survivors who want an all-female support service. Nope. Sorry, I will not be blindly loyal to the libtard communist reality anymore. No more, actually. Get me out of here. You know, Keir Starmer says, I'm delighted to appoint Harriet Harman as my advisor on women and girls. Harriet is a strong advocate for women and girls, and I know she will deliver great opportunity for women in public life. I'm committed to tackling structural misogyny. That is a barrier for too many women and girls. I look forward to working with Harriet to drive forward action on this important issue. Uh-oh, is that a community note? Harriet Herman and her then-husband, Jack Dromey, were senior officials in the National Council for Civil Liberties, now known as Liberty, when they supported the Pedophile Information Exchange and allowed it to affiliate with the NCCL. Now, just to understand what this means, there is a subset of the libtard movement that believes that the fight for civil rights means that anyone, no matter what their sexual orientation is equally valid, whether they're gay or a pedophile. You heard correctly. This bitch was running pedophile civil liberty shit. Now being in charge of like the advisor of women's and girls. Oh my god, you can't make this up, man. You know, Keir Starmer's Muslim donors were like, yeah. Now hire the pedophile counselor for the advisor on women and girls. And he was like, well, if you say so, Ahmed Abdullah. I'm telling you, man, South Park could not have come up with this. Like, South Park could have been smashing its head against the wall. They would have never come up with the idea that the Islam-backed Labor candidate libtard would work with pedophile exchange counselor or whatever to be in charge of women and girls. I'm telling you, this shit's insane. J.K. Rowling comes out of the woodwork once again.
Oh no, the TV show that was supposed to be more by the book than the movies. No, it's already doomed. It's already doomed. The Black Snape is going to be a thing. It's going to make Harry Potter look like a racist. It's going to make his parents look like lynchers. And it's going to make his mom look like the person who falsely accused Emmett Till. It's going to be awful. Other than that, I mean, it looks all right, the rest of it. I just hope they do my man Ron justice. If they do my man Ron justice and have him actually be the stand-up guy that he was in the books, as opposed to the sniveling little worm that he was in the movies, I can get more down with it.
Yeah, radicalized by reality. All right.
I mean, I'm still not going to watch it until everyone else stops watching it. Then I'm going to watch it out of curiosity, just so the opening numbers aren't that good, because I want them to know that they can't keep doing this.
Bravo, Keir Starmer, for getting an advice on women and girls who think the
Seriously.
definition of women and girls.
I would have been okay with any other character, but not Snape. Any other character, except for Snape and Harry Potter being black, wouldn't really have affected anything. However, you have Hispanic Hermione, and you have, which is fine, she's mildly Hispanic, like Jenna Ortega. Oh my God! If they have the Ancient One play Voldemort, I am going to giggle my fucking ass off, because they'll pretty much just make him a feminist.
Girls includes men and boys. That'll definitely win back the people who believe Labour's party for smug, lanyard-wearing, luxury belief-espousing cultural elitists. Oh my God. As far as I'm concerned, women are women who are born women, but women are also women who are trans men. Harriet Harman. Brutal. Just absolutely fucking brutal. It's just absolutely fucking brutal. Like, these people are actually retarded. Now, just to understand the level of radicalization the British population is going through, because, again, nothing will make dudes racist like libtards giving free passes to other races. You know, I think that people in England wouldn't necessarily be Islamophobic if there wouldn't be Islamic terror attacks like once a week. or Islamic rape gangs in every single county in the fucking country. You know, I feel like if not for that shit, there would be a lot less Islamophobia. You know, if the Muslims wouldn't decide it's a 9/11 New York, then I feel like a lot of New Yorkers would be a lot more open to Muslims. You know, I'm just saying. I'm just noticing that. And because they're able to do it again and again.
Oh, Adam Driver would have been the best Snape idea. He literally looks just like what the book would say. Maybe slightly more handsome, but still, he would have been a great choice.
Again, without consequences, the government.
I mean, he was basically being Snape in Star Wars.
Is bending over backwards to get their voting blocks. It's radicalizing the shit out of people. In Bolton, one candidate. All right, this is a candidate for right-wing politics in England. One candidate allegedly wrote on Facebook, "Just shoot all the Pakis on the spot." Oh my God. Another in Sunderland allegedly said, "Can't believe the amount of Nigerians in town. We should melt them down and fill potholes." And both were elected by large margins. Oh my God, dude, you are radicalizing these people, man. I'm telling you, bro. You give them another generation like this, they'll elect the fucking Hitler. All right, I'm not even kidding, bro. You don't understand. Glenn Gibbons, Reform UK candidate who said Nigerians should be melted down to fit potholes, has won his race. Oh my God, look at what you are creating. This is what libtardism creates. This exactly is the natural end of libtardism. And people will point out that he's racist, but they're not going to point out why he's fucking racist. All right? I'm just noticing. Now, Nigel Farage is the guy that's in charge of this like mainstream center right-wing party that won in these massive numbers in England. He said that Reform wouldn't even win 1% in Great Yarmouth. Now Restore rather. Rupert Lowe is in charge of what's called the far right party in England that wants to deport.
But anyway, guys, sorry, I've completely run out of time. I've more engaged in the chat with anything else. To think the new HBO actors are born 2 or 3 years after the final Harry Potter movie is wild. No, I know, right? But I mean, you know, it's been that long. But I think the rest of the casting in the Harry Potter show is pretty good. I think the girl could be a good Hermione. The rest of the vibe feels okay. I don't know why they got John Lithgow to be Dumbledore. But unfortunately, I think Sir Ian McKellen's probably too old. And we don't want him to lose our Dumbledore after a couple of seasons like we did the first time through. But anyway, guys, that being said, I'm going to go ahead and close it down there. I got to get a couple things done before I go to work. I'm taking a half day today. Since I came back late, as I thought I would. Unfortunately, I was afraid I would, and I did. There were storms and such, so I didn't get back till halfway through the day. Well, actually, all the way at the end of the day yesterday. So I'm taking a half day today to get some stuff caught up. But I will be back tomorrow morning with yet another edition of The Associated Guests. I've been your host, Alfie Animus.